everyone. So in today's video we are talking all about my senior year recap at the University of Arizona. I just graduated a week and a half ago, which is pretty crazy, and now doing I guess my last recap of undergrad because, as you guys know, I'll be going back to U of A in the fall for grad school. So I've done a recap every single year since freshman year, and it's been pretty cool seeing how every year has been different from the last and how my experiences have differed. And I'm so excited to share my recap of this year because, as you guys know, we went through college in a literal pandemic, and it was interesting for sure. Beginning of junior year, I never obviously expected my senior year to go the way that it did, but also was so pleasantly surprised that this actually turned out to be one of my favorite years of all college. And I'm so thankful because when the pandemic first happened, I was like, oh my gosh. Of course, you're a little bummed about your upcoming senior year and how it's not going to be how you obviously once hoped of it being your last year in college, but luckily I'm so thankful that it ended up being literally one of my favorite years ever. So we're gonna get all into that and do a little recap, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. Alright guys, so let's go back all the way to August when school first started. So I was so excited just to go back to school because, you know, being trapped in like your house for quarantining from March to August, I was just so excited to go back. I was like, I don't care if we are literally in quarantine in our chapter house or whatever. I just at least rather be quarantining honestly with my friends, and you know, it would be a lot better on my mental health being with like my friends, and you know, just being stuck with your family for 5 months, it was a lot for me. So I was just so excited just to go back to school and live out there in Tucson and live on my own and be independent, even if we were in quarantine, which we were, because of course with COVID, it was crazy in the beginning of the school year. Chapter house after chapter house honestly was getting put on lockdown because of COVID cases, and it was considered an outbreak if more than 2 girls in a chapter house tested positive. I don't understand how that all works, but there are about like 60 girls who live in a chapter house, so if 2 got it was considered an outbreak and you had to be put on quarantine. So that was crazy. That was in the beginning of the school year during like recruitment, and honestly was one of my favorite experiences of the whole year. We were actually put on quarantine for 10 days, and it was like a big old slumber party because we couldn't leave the house because we were quarantining, and so it left us to be in a whole house full of 60 girls, or some girls ended up quarantining at home, but you know, basically with like 50 girls with your best friends. And I got so close to my best friends now, and I got really close to other girls in younger pledge classes, and you know, we had food catered to us every day because the chefs weren't there because of, you know, we're on lockdown, and we had movie nights every night, and it was just honestly a blast. And I'm someone who tries to look at the positive in everything, or try to at least make the best of everything and see, you know, a silver lining. So when that all happened, you know, of course girls were panicking, but I was like, you know, I want to like this is a great opportunity to bond and get close with everyone. We had like just dance parties in our chapter room, and it was so much fun, honestly. So I saw the positive in that. And then once that happened, honestly, my friends and I the whole semester were pretty COVID conscious. Like, we did not go out. We pretty much like didn't ever go out for semester, and you know, COVID rules are different state to state. So in Arizona, towards the end of the semester, we would go to restaurants and like get drinks, or at the bars they were like restaurant style, so you had to like sit at your seat, wear masks of course if you got up, and drinks would be served to you and stuff like that. We would always try and sit outside if we did go out. We were just very COVID conscious for a semester, of course, because of that, and us having online classes and everything. It just brought me and my friends a lot closer, and through the whole election that brought us a lot closer as well. So there was just a lot first semester, that us having online classes, we would literally do like all of our classes like at lunch together. We'd have our laptops, or at least I would, and eat together while we were like in class, and just always there at the house together. So like I like never left or anything. So first semester was great, and it really just taught me that even though things weren't normal and how they were before, I just really appreciated and value relationships a lot. And it just, that whole first semester really showed me that, and really just showed me that I'm happy and satisfied if I'm just around, you know, my best friends. And it was great. We had tons of sleepovers in each other's rooms, you know, and seriously just made the best of it. So I loved first semester because of that, and it was great. And classes, it was honestly so easy because online classes honestly were a piece of cake, if I must say. So it was great. I wasn't stressed about school or anything, and it was great getting to kind of create my own schedule throughout the day. If you guys saw my vlogs in the beginning of the school year, how that kind of went about, and how I would like wake up, get some breakfast, just turn on my laptop, do my classes there, hang out with my friends afterwards, and you know, watch movies. We would have like literally have movie nights almost every night. It was so much fun, and I just really enjoyed the homebodiness of first semester. It was fantastic. And then winter break happened, and it was so hard being away from my friends, but I did enjoy my winter break. I wasn't sure how winter break was gonna go because I was just like, let me stay in Tucson as long as possible with my friends, because just quarantine was just a lot for me, like being home. So I was like pleasantly surprised that it went well, and I loved being home for the holidays. And then we traveled back to Tucson. Well, I traveled back to Tucson obviously for second semester. That was another crazy. I was very COVID conscious this whole time. My friend group and I doing the best we can of staying safe, you know. And my whole friends and I were actually one of the first, because of us working at schools, to get vaccinated or have access to get the vaccine. So we all had like vaccine appointments like in February, early March, and I had my vaccine scheduled for February 2nd. But let me back up a little bit, because I started student teaching second semester for 66 days, so about like 3 months. Once we started, it was pretty difficult, honestly. First week I had a lot of breakdowns. I just was not used to that schedule of like working 40-hour work weeks, especially going from like first semester to like doing online classes and it just being super lax and being with my friends all day, to, you know, working 40-hour work weeks, seeing my friends half the time, being stressed with that. It was just a really like sharp transition that I was not used to. So it was really overwhelming for me, like the first week or two of student teaching. It was a lot, but then we, the whole 5th grade team, did get COVID-19. If you guys saw like my COVID vlog. So unfortunately it really sucked, because my friends and I were like, how out of work, living with 60 girls in a sorority house and being college students, us like not, well like me personally, not get COVID from that, but get COVID from like, you know, going to work or student teaching and like at the school I taught. That was a big bummer. So yeah, I got COVID I was quarantining for 14 days or 10 days, and that really sucked. I have a whole vlog on that if you want to see how I spent my quarantine in my sorority house. I have that video up, but yeah, that sucks. And that was in the beginning of the semester, so like the end of January. And literally my last day of quarantining was the day I was scheduled to get my vaccine, which was such a bummer. I was literally thought I was gonna go through this whole pandemic without getting COVID, and then literally the very last opportunity that I could have gotten it, I got it, which really sucked. But luckily all my friends were able to get vaccinated, and then I didn't pass it to anyone, which I was very thankful for, because that was my biggest concern this entire year, was not necessarily me getting it, but passing it on to other people. So I was very glad that didn't happen. And then I got out of quarantine. All my friends were vaccinated. It was great. Things were starting to open up a lot more, and things were starting to feel more back to normal. I would say around spring break time, I was getting more in the routine of student teaching. I absolutely loved it. We started off completely virtual online, so wasn't a huge fan of that. And then we moved to a hybrid model, which I was way more happy about, because about 2 weeks after I got out of quarantine was when we moved into a hybrid model of student teaching, and I absolutely loved that, having students in person. Obviously, going into this profession, I obviously want to work with kids like hands-on. I guess some people do, but no one generally wants to go into it and teach virtually, you know? So once I got to have the opportunity to work with kids in person, I started to enjoy it a lot more. So things were getting better with that. Numbers in Arizona were doing a lot better. Cases were going so much more down. Everyone I knew was vaccinated, which was very enjoyable, getting to feel like our senior year was getting to enjoy our senior year the last couple months we were there. So it was really nice. And then for student teaching, we moved into full in person at the end of March, right after our spring break, which was awesome. And I loved it. It was so great. My spirits were boosted. Things were looking up. I was just so happy. Like, everything was going so good. I loved going in, looked forward to teaching every day. Was able to have a really great balance of going out and having a social life, and also, you know, teaching 40 hours a week, because then I moved into full in-person teaching, so I have all vlogs of that too. But it ended up being like such a great balance. And I was just thinking during that time in like March, April, like thinking back to January of how stressed out I was of teaching 40 hours or going to work 40 hours a week and feeling like I wouldn't have a social life, to like now in the springtime feeling like my life, I like I'm caught up on my life, and like I can have a social life and also have a great time like working. And I loved my colleagues, you know, everyone I worked with. It was so great. I think that's another reason why I loved going to teach and going to school, was because the people I worked with were just fantastic, and it was so much fun hanging out with them and stuff as well, and working with them. And yeah, so and then I eventually ended up getting my vaccine in April, because you know, you have antibodies for about at least 3 to 6 months, but so I ended up just waiting a couple months, because since I already had antibodies and stuff to get my vaccine, so I ended up just getting that in April. So once I got that, felt great as well. And then I stopped student teaching end of April, and that was sad leaving that. But then I ended up having a whole month before I graduated of doing like nothing and having no responsibilities, like literally being completely done with school in April, and having like a month, you know, waiting till graduation. So that was so much fun, and I ended up loving how my senior year ended up working, because I had that whole month. Even though it was like a lot for the whole first half of the semester, it was great having like that month of being able to truly enjoy it, especially with things opening up a lot more, and being able to truly enjoy my senior year the way that I would have hoped to. So I truly just love this year so much. I'm so thankful for it. Even though this year was very hard, I know that like I've learned so much and going through it, and now I feel like a better prepared teacher in general. Like all the teachers would say, like, if you can get through like this year, you can get through truly anything. And I really do feel that way. So I always look at the positives, like I said. So like I always mention to my friends who I'm friends with now, like I don't think we would have been as close if this whole pandemic didn't happen, since we were truly forced to like be with each other constantly, since we weren't going out pretty much like at all for semester. We were like really just forced to be with each other all the time, and we weren't going to classes. We were just staying at the chapter house constantly. So it really forced us to like have a bond and get to know each other better, and just other relationships that I formed this year. So I'm just truly thankful for the whole entire experience that I've gone through. And with all that being said, like I said, it was truly one of my favorite years of all college, truly because of the relationships that I built, and it made me want to go outside my comfort zone a lot, like experiencing quarantining and all that. I've always been a homebody, always chose to stay home opposed to go out usually. And now I value experiences with people, because I'm like, I never know when I'm gonna get these moments back again, and like you never know what will happen. So take the opportunity to go out and spend time with people and experience, you know, going to bars and restaurants and just being outside and just things like that. So I've valued that a lot more, because junior year was my worst year of all college, and I stayed in a ton and did not hardly ever went out. I can count on like one hand of how many times I went out in junior year, and this year I was like, I'm not doing that. I want to like make memories with people and have fun. And I'm glad I was able to do that once it was safe to, and everyone around me was vaccinated. So I'm just very thankful for this year, and I'm so glad that I'm going back to U of A in the fall, because I could not imagine leaving after this past year and just ending it like that. Like I feel like I need to have another year with my friends, since everyone I know and all my closest friends are going to be there next year. I just can't wait to live with them and be with them another year and study at my favorite school and study exactly what I want, and get my master's in teaching and teacher education and be in Tucson again. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I was honestly trying to decide if I wanted to do a recap of just my senior year or go into all of my years of college, and I might do that and just do a full recap of my whole experience at U of A as an undergrad student, of course, since I'll have another year there. Because like I said, every year has been so different. It's changed so much and I've learned a lot from being there, and I could wrap it all up in a little bow and just talk about my experience. But that is my experience of my senior year. I hope you guys enjoyed getting a little recap of how my senior year went, and if you were part of my senior year, thank you. I love you guys for supporting me and watching my videos. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye guys.